Hey there, I'm Jesse, and you're listening to the Deep Lore Boys podcast, where me, Matthew, and Jackson delve into the random, rare, and often ridiculous pieces of human history.
I love how he's completely broke because he was gambling and he just shows up at the last minute.
A pair of ghostly white pants, that is, running through your lawn in the middle of the night.
He claims that he is weird, but he does get results.
The 1904 Summer Olympics men's marathon was an absolute disaster, and it's hilarious. The race was run during the hottest part of the day on August 30th in St. Louis, and apparently it was run on just dusty, dry country roads with minimal water supply. There were 32 athletes present representing 4 nations, and only 14 managed to finish the race.
Oh.
And the conditions in which they finished the race were kind of bizarre. Fred Lors was greeted as the apparent winner, but he was later disqualified because he had hitched a ride in a car for part of the race.
That does not count, Fred.
No.
Fred, no, you have to
Hey, dude, it was hot, man.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Yeah, man's got to do what a man's got to do, right?
Yeah, you know.
And then the actual winner, Thomas Hicks, was near collapse and hallucinating.
No.
So he was just completely out of it. And that was a side effect, apparently, of being administered brandy, raw eggs, and strychin by his trainers. What is this?
Strychnine? Strychnine is poisonous.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
It's,
they gave him rat poison and they mixed it with brandy and an egg white.
I guess it's supposed to be some kind of like performance enhancing drug.
What?
But
no, that does not help.
it's known for killing small vertebrates such as birds and rodents.
It's rat poison.
There's a wacky chemical. But the 4th place winner, I guess the 2nd and 3rd place were normal, but the 4th place finisher, he took a nap during the race after eating spoiled apples. So, but he still made it in 4th place. Like,
What a
taking
guy.
an actual snooze, he still managed to make it.
So apparently the South African participants in this race, they finished 9th and 12th. However, he was chased by wild dogs. Both of them were chased by wild dogs
They were
close to the track.
Yeah, they were chased a mile off course by dogs.
A mile off course? So he
dude.
didn't actually... I thought you were saying, like, well, yeah, he had a bit of an advantage because he was running for his life. You know, the
No,
adrenaline
the
kicked
dogs
in.
chased them a mile off course. One of the racers from the U.S., they just found lying in the middle of the road with severe injuries
no.
because he kept breathing up the dust caused by the cars from
Race
the
officials' cars. Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh.
Poor guy, man. Wait, there was a Cuban postman who showed up at the last minute after losing all of his money gambling in New Orleans. So he
What?
hitchhiked over there and just decided to run in the marathon.
What?
And so he just cut away his pants to make them look like shorts. He hadn't eaten in 40 hours. And he saw somebody eating peaches and he asked if he could have some and they told him he couldn't. And so he stole them and ran off.
Wait,
Oh wait, no, this is the 4th place winner.
Wait,
This is
what?
this guy. He wasn't supposed to be there. He's the 4th place winner. He just
What?
showed up, did that,
He
and then
took a
found
nap.
some apples, ate them, and they were rotten. So he took a nap. And
Wait, what? Yeah. Okay, his name was Enadarin
Carvajal.
Carvajal? Yeah, maybe. Sure.
He looks like such a lad. That mustache.
He does.
Oh,
my
dude.
gosh.
This guy.
What talk about like spur of the moment.
What a guy.
I wish
He
that
just-
this was still how they did it today. They were just like, yeah, you can just show up.
You
and
can
run the
you can just
Olympics.
show up.
No one's gonna stop you.
Like, what am I going to tell you can't? Like, wait, so the whole reason that everybody was so dehydrated was because this man named James E. Sullivan was the chief organizer of the thing, and he decided to conduct research on what he called purposeful dehydration, which is just literally, let's see if we dehydrate people, how many of them drop out of the race. He's like, let's see what happens.
That was an actual mustache twirling villain. Right
Who How did this guy think of this?
Well, I can understand. I mean, this was 1904. The phrase hydrate or dihydrate hadn't really, been popular at that point in time.
This race statistically is the worst starter to ratio race in Olympics history to this day.
Yeah.
14 of 32 finished.
14 out of 32 finished. That's not like, the first 14 got there and then the other half, eventually did. That's like everybody else dropped out and quit because it was not going to work. It must have been terrible. And the fact that they apparently had wild dogs chasing them for part of the trip just drives home that, like, this was not super well planned. Okay, so we need to have, like, a full recap here of the fates of each person. What was his name? Fred Lors was the guy who came in first, but he cheated. He's the guy that jumped on the car.
Yes.
Apparently, this is interesting. So he was suffering cramps, and he dropped out of the race 9 miles in and then hitched a ride back to the stadium in a car. And he was literally waving at spectators and runners during the ride. So imagine you are choking on dust, dehydrated out of your mind, probably poisoned somehow. And Lors is just there doing like the Queen wave in his royal escort.
Did he try to take credit for it, or did he just say, like, you know what, I'm done, and then people thought that he had won?
I don't know.
I don't know. It said the car broke down at the 19th mile. Okay, that's a detail we didn't get. And so then he re-entered the race and jogged across the finish line, but he immediately admitted his deception.
Okay. Oh, so he wasn't trying to cheat then. He sounds like he was a base fella.
No, but they still banned him for life, apparently. The AAU. Oh, okay, and then they reduced his sentence a year later.
Yeah, nobody's going to finish this, so instead of just laying down in the dirt, he just took a car. He was 19 when he did this race.
Oh, jeez.
A lot of respect to the guy.
Honestly, yeah.
For real.
Oh, he was also dosed with strychnine.
He was also poisoned?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against this guy.
This guy's fine.
Yeah, he's never mind. He's not a villain. He knew what he was doing, and he let everybody else know. But, so then Thomas Hicks shows up next.
Thomas Hicks.
And 10 miles from the finish, he was leading the race by like a mile and a half, but he had to be restrained from stopping and lying down by his trainers. So literally, he was like about to pass out. He was like, guys, I need to rest. And his trainers came in and slapped him. And were like, no, you will finish the race.
They're like, yeah, dude, you got this. Give him poison.
When he reached the stadium, his support team carried him over the line. He lost 8 pounds over the course of the marathon.
Holy frick.
Goodness. Where did it all go?
He had to have thrown up or something.
Probably they threw up or sweated it all out.
That's horrible. And then, another near fatality was William Garcia of the U.S. He was found lying in the road with several internal injuries. And then we have my man, Cuban Postman, and Darren Carvajal, who arrives at the last minute.
I love how he's completely broke because he was gambling and he just shows up at the last minute. He just cuts his clothes to look like he has shorts. He just like cuts his pants and just
goes.
He hasn't eaten anything in 40 hours. It just runs.
Those are probably the worst starting conditions you could have. Broke, hasn't eaten in 40 hours, doesn't even have the proper running clothes.
Well, it says that he tried to get food and they refused to give it to him. So he was probably already slightly annoyed about that.
Yeah, people refused to give him food and he was like, fine, I'll do it myself. And just ran.
He stole the 2 peaches and ran.
Well, okay, he stole the peaches from a spectator who was driving in a car. So he ran probably past the car.
He ran up to the car
and stole the peaches.
This guy is awesome. Wait, in the 1906 Olympics, he was selected to represent Cuba, right? To go to Greece. And then after he landed in Italy, he disappeared and never showed up. And so he was presumed dead, and they published an obituary for him, and then he showed back up in Cuba and was just there.
Wait, like, what happened?
Nobody knows. He was dead, and then he was just back. They have no idea.
Dude, is that a JoJo's reference?
What?
JoJo's
reference?
Wait, so did we ever get the story from him?
No.
Wait, what? Okay.
There's nothing. It's just he was presumed dead, but later
was thought to be
returned to
dead.
Havana on a Spanish steamer. So he just
Where did he go? He landed in Italy, but never made it to Athens, and then just showed back up in Cuba eventually. Wait, there's no comment on the
What?
Wikipedia about what happened. So
What?
does nobody really know?
He was just like, no, I'm not doing this again. I ate rotten apples the last time. I don't want
He just wasn't up to it.
So he raced in New York City in 1909. He went to another race right after he went to Italy, but he did not do super well in this race and was in last the entire time.
What?
Unfortunately.
No.
What? Impossible. It was rigged. They poisoned him. They
This
got him.
was
Yeah,
5
they
years
rigged him.
later, though. So
Yeah, they had to poison
so
him.
he
That was
had
in
lost his touch.
1909, and he died in 1949. At 73.
Yeah, he was
so-
73. He lived a
yeah,
good
he
long
lived a full
life.
It's inspiring, really. This guy is incredible.
No, he definitely does not seem like I'm guessing he was a happy, optimistic guy because you cannot be a sad, depressed pessimist and join the 1904 Olympics at the last minute.
Just
he
show
had to
up and
be
do that. Like,
a very sporadic,
yeah.
goofy individual. I mean, I'm sure he must have trained later on, but I think prior to the 1904 Summer Olympics, his only experience was just being a mailman and running everywhere.
Yeah, he would just run everywhere.
Like, he was just
he
that
didn't.
good.
I love how he's still like the occupation listed there is just on the wiki. It's just mailman. Like that is what he is. He is just
Oh,
a
yeah.
mailman. What a guy! This might be one of my favorite people we've ever talked about on the podcast.
Honestly, yeah, what a hero.
Y'all ever want to be a wizard?
I do.
There are some days where I wake up in the morning. I think, if only I was a wizard.
if I was a wizard, I'd have to have that like cloak with those like stars on it and that like pointy hat.
Of course,
Like,
of course, yeah.
I would want to do like a more Gandalf-y hat than just like that straight cone, but
No, you don't want the cone. The cone fell out of style in like AD 600.
Yeah, you
We
want to
don't-
make sure
we don't
you're,
really
you're
use
up
that
to, up
anymore.
to standards, right? Let me tell you, my man here. Such a
Yeah,
bad intro
please.
to a topic. my man, Devin Person here. Jackson, you're the one that wants to talk about this. Why am I introing
Yeah,
it?
I don't know anything
him.
about this guy. All I know is that apparently there's a wizard in the New York City subway. So please.
That's
Yes.
basically what I know. This man named Devin Person is a wizard who will tell your fortune on the New York City subway. He claims that he is weird, but he does get results.
He's quoted here as saying, "Wizards are people helpers. They are who the hero encounters on their journey, and they're able to give the hero a bit of advice, maybe a magical artifact, some sort of assistance that helps the hero get over their obstacle and on their journey." So he's not setting out to be the protagonist here. He is just
He's just helping
Gandalf
people.
helping out the Frodo, yeah.
He hosts a wizarding hour with people where they just simply be wizards for an hour. And the session isn't really like, it's not like a therapy psychiatry session or anything. It's just
No.
literally him chilling, and just basically the goal is to open your eyes and see the world in a better way.
He's honest, too. He stresses that he's not a therapist, and he generally just offers one session to participants, one like, come just spend some time with a wizard. Says, this is the moment in your life where you encounter a wizard, and this has the potential to change a lot, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll see what the wizard has to say. Like, it's just cool.
The sign he hoists on the subway reads, "Talk to the wizard," because no one meets a wizard by accident.
Yes, dude.
That is a good quote.
We should point out he hosts a podcast. He has
What?
his own podcast. We can't vouch for it, but it does exist. So if you're curious,
It's out there.
Apparently, he changed his last name. It wasn't always Person. New York City has a guide to help people who are choking, and it says somewhere in the guide, person is awake, or like check if the person is awake, because like he wakes people up. I guess he's like the person who's awake, and that inspired him.
that's actually kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
So he was
All right,
inspired
all
by
right.
those choking guides you see in restaurants all across New York.
And to specify, the name of his podcast is also titled "Person is Awake." This guy, man, this guy's awesome.
It is such a vibe. He doesn't seem like he's not a creepy subway wizard.
No, he's not
creeping
he's
up
not
to you and
like-
being like, "Sir, for only a few shillings, I will tell your fortune." Like drool dribbling down his beard.
He could be like a subway hag or like something like that, but no.
But no, he's
Subway Wizard.
the
So
Subway
apparently
Wizard.
he also goes by the name the Urban Jedi, from what I've been reading.
Yeah, that's basically what he is.
So the reason that he has white hair, even though he's 33, is because he had a knee problem and doctors prescribed a medication for him, but then all of his hair turned white. So originally his hair was dark brown. So he is not dyeing his hair. I just do want to make that clear.
I just love this image of him sitting on the subway. Because it's just,
Dude, it's
there's
such a
everybody getting
mood.
going about their day on their phones, and then there's just this wizard that looks like, well, why is everybody so unfriendly these days? Glued to their phones, to their devices.
He's just chilling. This guy knows a lot that we don't. You can just see it.
Maybe we could get him on the podcast. We could like
I
combine
would cry. That'd be
podcasts.
great, dude.
That'd be incredible.
Awesome.
A spell to give Deep Lore Boys more clout.
Yeah, he wouldn't give us more.
Wait, what?
He wanted more clout.
You think if
Please,
I
Mr.
feel like if you
Person.
asked him for clout, he would like tell you to find more meaning in the things you already have.
Oh,
He
so
would
wise.
spin it, but he'd say it in a way where you're not just like, "Oh, well, thanks." Like he'd make it so you're like, "Man, you know," and you'd like actually stop and think about it, and you'd be good. And you know what? Once that happens, suddenly then the clout will come, but it won't matter. It's beautiful. Take notes, fellas. Take notes. This is the type of person we should all be striving to be.
A wizard?
Yes, but a goblin. If I met a wizard on the subway and he turned me into a goblin, that would be the best day of my life. I would love
I know
that.
it would.
Everybody has those thoughts every now and again. If you're like, oh, everybody hates me, or oh, like this, that, and the other, right? You know, we've all been there, right?
Right.
That's not true, by the way, to everybody out there. We love you. But
I love you.
if I was a goblin, everybody would hate me. Everybody hates
Right.
goblins, right? Usually, except for a few people would be like, oh, it'd be nice to a goblin. Okay, but I'd be like a nasty goblin. I'd be stealing stuff. I'd be doing all sorts of bad goblin things. And so you don't even got to worry about that. Like, you wouldn't even have to care. It'd basically just be an excuse to be a psychopath. But you wouldn't want to be like, I wouldn't be like a raving murderous goblin. I would just be a goblin that just be like,
I stole your toothpicks.
dude, like, I'd be
Got
doing
your
that.
socks.
Yeah, like, I'd be doing stuff like that. I'd just be trolling. Like,
I think the best thing you could do as a
Be
goblin
great.
is take 2 trash can lids in like the middle of the night and just clank
bang them
together.
together.
Start banging them together.
Yes, dude, I would totally like crawl into somebody's room at 3 a.m. and just like blast an air horn, wake them up, and be like, and then run away.
And then
Like,
scamper out the window, yeah.
yes, that is the type of stuff that I would want to do.
Well-
The thing is, that's illegal to do as a human for a lot of reasons. But goblins, what are they gonna do? Like, dude, what are they
Yeah,
gonna
like-
like tell you can't? Like that? Oh, that'd be awesome.
I wonder what would happen if you went to prison as a goblin. Like if they did catch you and they did force you into prison. Like, would you be the
Dude.
alpha or would you be the
Yeah, what would
runt?
the inmates?
What would they think?
Well, here's
Like,
the
they
thing.
just
though.
kick him around.
Just tell them that like you're under a spell, and that if they try to kill you, like you'll haunt them.
Yes, you're right. Say that you'll turn into a goblin ghost, and you don't want a goblin ghost on your trail.
Well, you could probably go into prison and pretend to be a wizard as a goblin. You could do that anywhere. If you are a goblin and you say I'm a goblin wizard, the people
yeah.
that you're talking to are already going to be like, "Well, he's a goblin, and I didn't think those were real." So
I could just start looking at him and just go like, I understand, and just like, and like
And
everything
start-
starts floating around me, and then
Right.
they just run away.
the Fresno Nightcrawlers are some of the lesser known but best cryptids that I have ever come across. Think a pair of pants, a pair of ghostly white pants, that is, running through your lawn in the middle of the night.
It's terrifying.
That's the Fresno Nightcrawlers. In 2007, a man who has identified himself only as Jose set up some security cameras in his lawn because, you know, he wanted to see what was going on there. His dogs were constantly barking at stuff, and he's like, I wonder what's going on. And his security cameras captured this goofy, silly-eyed guy taking a nice evening stroll across his lawn at like, what is this? I think that's 12:46 a.m.?
Yeah, so almost 1 a.m. This goofy,
Almost 1
silly
a.m.
fella has just been taking a stroll.
So I guess this term Nightcrawler works. Like, it is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
a nocturnal being.
It is a
Like,
nocturnal
okay.
being, and it's just this goofy, silly pair of like. It looks like a pair of pants. Like
It literally
ghostly
is just
white
a pair
pants.
of pants. It's
It just walk across the lawn.
Can we watch the video footage?
Oh yeah, do you want to see it?
Can we play this on the podcast?
Oh, could this be like a live?
We can, but there's no sound, so it'll be easy enough to just literally throw it on screen.
Y'all ready?
I'm ready. Let's
Fresno
watch this
Nightcrawler.
footage.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Go.
12,
We're looking good. Just a
Looks to be a
nice
tree in the
lawn.
background.
What's dude? What a
Oh,
what a
hang on.
lovely
What's
lawn
that? Is
here.
that a guy?
Freddy Fazbear.
Freddy Fazbear in real?
By Jove!
By Jove! That's not Freddy
I dare
Fazbear.
say.
That's a
I dare say.
phantom.
It's a
Some
pair
kind of
pants.
evil spirit. Oh, now okay.
I can't
I'm
lie.
gonna
I
watch
almost,
this again.
Yeah, I almost
That
just
is
started
weird,
crying.
and it looks like it waves as he walks. Like, it doesn't
Right.
look like it's like a solid being.
Yeah, like he's just going.
No, it's almost. It does look like a pair of like bell-bottom pants, almost just walking.
So typically there are videos that kind of critique this type of thing, or people that like kind of critique these videos, and they're like, oh, like that's not how like the gravity would work in that situation, or like you can see like a bit of a string here. That would be like how they were moving it. Has anybody done that, or was it just?
Oh my gosh, it's
It's
real.
hard to tell. See, this man Jose. I don't know if you guys know this, but Jose, he got the footage of these things, right, and he's terrified out of his mind. He's like, oh my gosh, what the heck is that? So he takes a camera and films the screen that's showing the Nightcrawlers. And then he loses the original tape. And then when he gets interviewed, they have to film his camera screen again to get the footage. So it's just been diluted so many times that like by now
So
the
hard
footage
to
is
tell.
super grainy and it's just so hard to make out what's happening.
I love how a lot of cryptids are like, oh, it can attack you, it's scary. This both doesn't make any sense. It's just a pair of pants. Like, it's clearly magical or something. And on top of that, it's completely harmless as far as we know. They
Right.
just walk. All they do is just walk around. Like, I see no reason why this can't be real, because who is going to prove to me that every now and again a pair of white pants, something just doesn't go off there, and they just don't get up, walk like a mile, and then just lay back down?
Honestly, I mean,
Who's going to tell me that doesn't happen?
I guess I
every now
can't
and again?
prove it.
It can happen. Like, it. How do we know it doesn't?
Why doesn't it
Gotta.
happen more though with blue pants?
Maybe they have to be white. Maybe that's part of the ritual.
Oh,
Imagine building an animatronic Nightcrawler and just letting it loose somewhere.
You know what? That's honestly, I really like the idea that in Fresno, there's a guy that just every few years makes an animatronic Fresno Nightcrawler and just sets it loose. And eventually he just like goes and finds it in a park somewhere. Like it wandered all that way. He just tracks it, goes and grabs it and like does it
Yes.
the next day.
I feel like the problem with that is that somebody would find it and like beat it up. They'd like light it on fire like Hitchbot.
It'd be like the Hitchbot
And we
death.
Then we would prove it was a hoax.
There's something about the really, really grainy security camera footage of the original Nightcrawler that just makes it so much spookier. It really
there's
is.
something
Like
a little spooky about it. Like,
it's a little unnerving, even though it's supposedly like there's nothing inherently threatening about it.
what I love about it is how mysterious it really is. Like, you can't tell if it's a ghost or if it's an alien or if it's just a weird looking animal or if it's like just fake. You have no way of knowing what it is and why it's there. He's just chilling. Like, they never do anything wrong either. That's what I love about him. They just walk. They're just walking around.
I tend to think, see, the Fresno Nightcrawler, as like gripping and interesting as the original story is, it is very, very easy to fake. And several people have like gone out of their way to make fake sightings and be like, guys, look, this is fake. I made this. Isn't it convincing though?
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're shrouded in darkness and it's just a white pair of pants moving. And there are a lot of ways that you can fake that, either by cropping out the upper half of your body or using wires and string and stuff. It's not too hard. So
Yeah, it's not
while
really
it is a really interesting, like goofy cryptid, I think its time has gone.
the original story though is believable. Like, someone put up
That's
a
the thing.
camera. He turned it into the police. He didn't know what it was. The police were really the one that released it. Like,
Yeah, that's more believable than just, I found one in my backyard.
so does anybody know anything else about this Jose guy?
No, he has pretty much remained unidentified. Like, we don't know his last name. We know he lives in Fresno, but his
Yeah, it
privacy
sounds like
is
he likes to stay kind of out of it. So
Yeah, it doesn't seem like this guy was just a person though that wanted a lot of attention.
definitely not. No. Initially, he was just like, dang, what? And I guess the police couldn't figure it out. Again, he lost the original tapes. All he had was like the footage of the footage, and then they needed footage of the footage of the footage for some reason.
it sounds like it kind of scared him too, and he just kind of went along with it.
If that story is to be trusted. I mean, he could have
assuming.
hoaxed it all himself. It's just the fact that he didn't pursue making a big deal out of it, a big stink on the internet or anything. But maybe he was just considering that people would think more of his story if he didn't pursue the fame.
Perhaps he was trolling all along.
All along. Hi again, it's Jesse. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Deep Lore Boys podcast. You can find more episodes of our show on YouTube and Spotify, which we encourage you to share with your friends so we can grow the podcast. And drop a comment down below if you're feeling extra generous. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope your day is nothing short of interesting. Take care.
I'm gonna go post that one on Twitter.com.